Well, this is Andrew with Drake Custom Bass, and today on the bench we don't have a bass. We actually have a 12-string Ovation. It's the 2058TX model, and the owner of this guitar, it plays a style of music where it's common that they actually just double up the strings. There's two sets of 6 strings in double courses. They usually just leave one E string on the bottom, and that puts a lot of tension on the bridge and of course the face of the guitar. So the task that I have been given with this particular guitar is to install a bridge doctor, just to help keep this nice and flat and keep it from rising, and if it does, to be able to adjust it down. It's basically a truss rod for the guitar top. Now, the problem with this particular model is the access to the truss rod is not here. It would be better here. The truss rod access is deep inside. Well, you're not getting in through there, and at least they thought it had enough to put a hole in the back side that has this cover plate. You'll see this screw here, and there's a claw underneath, and I have some video of the process. The actual bridge doctor has been installed, so a little foreshadowing here. It was successful with a few caveats. One caveat is, in order to reach that truss rod, you have to somehow get around this and reach with a little wrench clear down in there. I'll explain this later on. But yeah, you can see there's some hurdles that need to be overcome here, because the back side of this is curved. It does flatten out a bit around this strap button. But yeah, you have to make accommodations because there's no tail block. So you have to kind of create one, and I'll go through that in this video. But again, just a couple of quick tips for anybody else that might be attempting or searching this out. This is actually a machine screw that goes through, and there's a fixed threaded insert in here that's fixed to the wall. So yeah, that actually kind of helps with what I did. That's kind of essential. If that wasn't there, this whole thing might not have worked. But as you can see, there is a bridge doctor in there. There is a bridge plate, if this will focus. So any other techs out there that might attempt this, you can see that this is what it looks like inside. I don't know how new this model is. Maybe it's been around a long time, but I've never seen it before. I had to look it up and I didn't find much on it, so I kind of had to sort this bit out by myself here. So anyway, okay, I'll go ahead and post this video and keep watching the video, and I'll go step by step through what I did to get this job done. Alright, so this is the cover that comes out. Obviously these hook underneath here, and I guess this foam acts as a spring, and when you turn the screw tight, it pulls this claw down to hold it against the back of the guitar. Alright, so there's actually a bridge plate in this guitar. That looks good. I don't know if I can get the light to show here. Alright, so my big concern is the dowel part of the bridge doctor. This is not exactly square, and I'm just worried it's just going to slide. So what I might have to do, since the only thing, the strap button, and my lights, Yeah, there we go. So that's what's holding the strap button in. I'm guessing I can get a longer screw, make a wooden block that can match this contour of this back, put a longer screw into that, and it'll give me a wooden block for the bridge doctor to stab into. Hang on, let me get the bridge doctor out. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's try it this way. So the screw goes in this end, the wooden dowel slides through this. With this mounted to the back of the bridge plate, the peg goes into what would normally be the heel block or the tail block of the guitar. And as this screw here tightens in, it causes this to rock, which actually, since it's screwed to the top through the bridge itself, will actually pull that part down, counteracting the bellying that goes on. So really this is pretty straightforward with this particular guitar. Because of the bridge plate you can see there, I have no problems there with that, but I am going to have to make some kind of a wooden block to square up where that wooden dowel stabs into. Otherwise it may just slide down the side when under tension. So I'm going to do that, and I'll show you how it turns out. So where I got that line is essentially I put it up, standing up against the guitar, and I used the old trick with the washer, and I started down there at hang on, focus. I started at the point, and as you pull this along, it rolls along the guitar, and it will copy that line. Like I said, I only have two hands, so it's really hard to demonstrate it on the actual guitar. But I just put the washer up against the piece of plywood, and I just let the washer roll. And this is making our template for what we're going to need to cut our block on the inside face of the block that will go up against this wall, because it's just a thin plastic. It's the same thickness, so it's the same thing on the inside as it is on the outside. So we're going to make our block now. Oh, other thing is, the first step I do is I drill the hole that matches the size of the screw through the block, because once it's been shaped, it's kind of hard to get it straight. It needs to be straight onto that. Okay, the cutoff piece that I made for our template, I've checked it on the inside, and it follows the contour really nicely around there. So basically I'm going to use the cutout to draw the line on the actual block that we're going to use. I'm going to clean it up a little bit with a sanding block, but I'm not going to really change the shape that much. Okay, so I got the screw back in there, and if you remember, there was actually a threaded part that actually pulls, so the button's on there good, it's not coming off, it's on there good. But now to hold, if I can get it to focus, to hold that block in place that we just made, then I'm going to have to put, you know, something simple like that. So I'm going to go ahead and use my nut driver to go ahead and get this on there, and yeah, then I'll go to work on the bridge doctor. Okay, so that's installed. That block is actually solid. I've tried with feeler gauges to get around behind it. It's actually fits the contour of the inside of the body pretty nicely. You can see where there's kind of a plastic kerfing along there. That actually I notched it so that's not pressing against that. It actually has some clearance. So we're ready to go for the bridge doctor. Okay, so I went ahead and drilled the hole, marked out my position. I want to get away from these strings. The bit might have wandered a little bit, but there's plenty of room in here for the string to slide through. I might have nicked the string though going in. I'm going to change strings anyway. But before I do this, there's always going to be, because this has a round back to it, this thing is wobbly all over the place. So I can't really take it to my drill press and get a good clean. I mean, I'd have to spend forever trying to get some cradle for this thing to sit in. So what I do is I start out with the 1/4. I reverse my drill bit a little bit just to kind of get a starting point. Then I have it going the way it's actually going to cut a hole. And I go down just enough for maybe a half of a dot inlay. And then I switch it out for a smaller bit. And of course the initial hole, I should say, I went through with a 1/16 of an inch, and I just got a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger, getting through the actual bridge to the bridge plate. I did hold a block against the bridge plate while drilling so it wouldn't blow big chunks of wood out of the bridge plate. I chucked the actual provided screw with the bridge doctor into the drill and did like I did with the strap button. I turned it down so that it actually fits a smaller, because I want this to sit down there deep, but again, I don't want this recess because it gets really close to these strings. And that's not exactly a great, you don't want the blow out inside to the string tunnels there, or routing holes. So this actually fits in there rather nice. I've never been able to do these without a little bit of cleanup work afterwards, so I'm going to have to do some touch up of the color of the bridge and everything. But that gives me enough to get a dot in on top. I'll probably use black plastic because I do have some, and there's already 2 in place. So yeah, once this is tightened into the bridge doctor, I'll put that in there. I might do some little sanding, and I'll just touch up this black to blend it all so it looks like it was meant to be there. And yeah, I'll do that step and then I'll continue on. So now the actual bridge block part of the bridge doctor has been installed, and I'm going to slide the dowel in, which you have to reach all the way in and slide it back through. Then I'll have to reach in with a short pencil and mark it so I can actually cut it to the right length. And then I'll have to reach all the way in past it and reach back to turn the screw in. It could be done, it's tight in there. Might have to enlist my wife with her really skinny arms to be able to reach in there and do some of this. But I think it could be done. Onward. Alright, well, everything is actually installed. I did drill with a long drill bit. I just put a little divot in that block just to keep this dowel from shifting side to side and whatnot. You can adjust this. You do have to reach in. I use the back side of the wrench and reach forward like this to adjust it. It's a 3/16 on the bridge doctor unit. Yeah, so you have to pretty much reach in like this. The truss rod, yeah, good luck. It's clear back in there, and the bridge doctor's somewhat in the way. I did make a bit of an adjustment, but the way the neck was actually not so awful that we're going to leave it as it is. Now, I did, like I said, I put a little, not even 1/8 of a turn, and it did make some noticeable difference. It's down to where the relief we want is there. And after adjusting the bridge doctor itself, the bridge it was somewhat bellied up to start with, and it flattened out. So I think we're good. I just got to clean dust and handprints and things like that off. For the little dot inlay, I gotta clean a couple of these little chips away. But I left it, I didn't sand it down smooth because at some point I may have to grab it with some pliers, pop that out, and actually remove the bridge doctor if we ever really need to do a drastic, over time. This is relatively new. To get to that truss rod, it's kind of, this isn't the best design. I mean, the guitar seems to be okay, but I would rather remove some strings out of the way and have a truss rod down here than going through all this, even without the bridge doctor. My wife maybe could reach it, but my arms do not want to go in through this little arse that we got back here. So, I don't know. It seems the bridge doctor seems to be holding true. I know the client, this is a tool to him. So, I can leave this a little bit proud. Like I said, you could feel it, but I need something to be able to grab a hold of it if I ever need to make an adjustment. I just got a black dot in there. I have tons of these things around. I'll probably pull it out of there anyway and get a better one. This one's kind of dinged up. And I'll treat these little chip out around it. This seems to be ebony-ish wood. It's definitely been stained black. But yeah, I'm going to make it look as clean and nice as I can here. But yeah, this is not really the ideal install, but it can be done. So anyway, Ovation 12 string. Can you put a bridge doctor in it? Well, yeah, you can. Not super easy. If you got really big arms, find somebody with smaller arms. All right.